For more on this, we go now to Ambassador Dennis Ross, a former special Middle East coordinator. He's also a Fox News foreign affairs analyst and author of Doomed to Succeed, the U.S.-Israeli Relationship from Truman to Obama. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for talking to us. I'm confused as to a split, an apparent split in Washington on how to deal with these protests, because the Iranian people, of course, want us to get involved. But there are some in Washington that prefer we stay silent. Why the debate about what the U.S. government should or shouldn't do or shouldn't say?
You know, I think it stems from this concern over, will we look like somehow we're playing into the government's hands, the Iranian regime's hands, because they're saying that everything that's happening that's against the government is instigated by the United States. It's a CIA plot. They say we're behind it, we and the Saudis, maybe the Israelis. They have conjured up a story, and it's a narrative that they're trying to suggest as a way of deflecting any blame from themselves as being the source of the problems within Iran. So there are some, I think, who feel that the more the U.S. is out there publicly, the more it plays into the hands of the Iranian regime to suggest somehow this all is instigated from the outside. The problem with that view is if we do something, they'll say we're behind it. If we do nothing, they'll say we're behind it. So we might as well stick by our principles and make it clear when people are on the streets peacefully protesting, when people are expressing genuine grievance, not just for economic reasons, but also because they see Iranian adventurism within the region costing them. When Iran is spending up to $15 billion in Syria, well, it's robbing them. So this frustration, this anger is genuine. We ought to be shining a spotlight on it without having too much expectation that we will be the ones who determine the outcome.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, the amount of money that Iran is spending in Syria, that alone should, I would assume, prompt the U.S. to want to deal with Iran more seriously than they have in the past. I mean, in 2009, the Obama administration chose to stay out of a wave of protests. Many would have argued that that was a huge mistake. I mean, why wouldn't the U.S. want to denounce the corruption and brutality of the Iranian leadership?
Well, I think we do want to do it. Look, I was part of the Obama administration at the time. I had responsibilities. I was part of that decision-making process as well. We were getting messages at the time from the Green Movement within Iran saying, keep a lower profile because we are the ones who created this, not you. Now, in retrospect, I think we were wrong. I think, in fact, what we should have been doing is we should have been creating a standard for the world to be watching and living up to as well. We should have been in a position where what we were doing would have contributed to the Europeans doing it as well. We should have done it also not only because it could be a source of reassurance to the Iranian people, but also it's a reminder to the Iranian government that they're not going to be able to do this with impunity. We want to raise the cost to them for what they're doing, both against their people, but also on the outside.
Yes.
And precisely because their own public is frustrated right now, that's producing a reason for us, I think, to call more attention and be very specific. What they're spending in Syria, what they're spending with Hezbollah, what they're spending with the Houthis in Yemen and with Hamas and Islamic Jihad.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump, many are calling on him to bring on the return of the Iran Democracy Fund, and Congress should immediately pass, and I want your take on this, emergency appropriations at the level originally requested by President Bush. Would that make any difference?
Well, I think it would help. I don't think we should have any illusions that that's going to be decisive one way or the other. Again, no one should think that we will determine the future of what's going on in Iran. What Nikki Haley was saying was actually quite right. They'll be the ones who will ultimately determine their destiny, but they should know we're prepared to stand with them. We shouldn't be egging them on to do something that we're not going to be there and that creates a burden, a moral burden on us to go and somehow intervene when we won't. But we should be ensuring that others are also focused on the human rights abuses. Others are also focused on what Iran is doing in the region to destabilize the region. The more we do that, the more the Europeans and others will also have to join with us. Again, I think the key to this is the more collective the response will be, the more certain we can isolate the Iranian regime and raise the cost to them of what they're doing.
All right. Ambassador Dennis Ross, great to see you as always. Thank you.